I'm Tony Eames, the founder of Total Active Hub. So my first memory was when I was 4 years old at Boating Lake. I suddenly collapsed, and that was the start of sort of a journey of many attacks, and what I guess I'd call little mini heart attacks. And over the following years, from the age of 4 and onwards, I would basically collapse for really any reason, mainly adrenaline-based things that would happen. So those first 8 years of my life was incredibly difficult. I didn't really quite realise it though. Being at that age, you know, we're all children, so resilient. You just kind of carry on doing things. But I imagine for my parents, it was incredibly difficult. As a father of 3, I kind of look back and go, what amazing strength that they had. So one of the most defining moments, or I'd say the most defining moment, was when I was at a badminton game. So the game started with 2 points in, and my adrenaline is literally firing on all cylinders. And I collapsed. I just fell on the floor and collapsed. But what was different this time is I would normally collapse for about 3 to 5 seconds. I was out cold for 4 to 5 minutes. I was given a 24-hour heart monitor, an ECG heart monitor, and they asked my dad, can you go and make your son collapse? My dad said, let's go and give it a go. We then went out for the day. We went to the badminton court again, and he would give me £1 if I could run to the end of the badminton court and back again. I didn't even make it to the end of the badminton court without collapsing. So they took the data from the ECG that I'd just been having for the last 24 hours, and they realised immediately that I had a condition which was a sudden death heart syndrome, which basically meant what it says on the tin, which I can either have an attack and then have a sudden death, or I get found out and it gets treated. But I'd spent the last 7 years having attacks nearly every other day. We believe I've had probably over 1,000 little mini heart attacks. And I then had this rather traumatic experience through my childhood, my upbringing, which meant that, you know, I sort of perceived as being very different, but now I had the opportunity to restart. 2 years after I've been diagnosed, life is great. I'm on my beta blockers, things are brilliant. But then suddenly my heart started to react a little bit differently to the beta blockers, and they weren't as effective. So the doctors decided that I should have what was at the time a relatively new operation to sever a nerve between the brain and the heart. But about 5 hours after having the operation, I realised that as I'm laid on the bed, my mum is sat next to me, I realised that I couldn't quite move my body. I realised that I couldn't actually start to talk. And I wanted to get his words out, and they just wouldn't come out. So I signalled to my mum to write something, to give me a pen. So she gave me a pen and a piece of paper, and I managed to scribble, Mum, I can't talk, I'm scared. And I sort of handed it to my mum. She then wrote back, I'm scared too. I became paralysed. I couldn't move, I couldn't talk. I had doctors around me, but really scary for me is my brain was functioning perfectly. And doctors were saying they have no idea what's going on. And I just laid there, just totally paralysed. I went to sleep, fell asleep again, and I woke up and it just vanished. And the doctors, have no idea what happened, but it's one of the most scariest things that I've ever experienced, because you realise how fragile we are, and how fragile my life is. And I think that's one of the sort of turning points around, really make the most of, what you've got. On the April before my A-levels, my heart rate plummeted. I had a heart rate of about 38 beats a minute because the beta blockers were so high. So I went to the doctors, and they said, look, you can't live with a heart rate of 38 beats. You also can't stop your beta blockers. So there's only one thing we can do, which is give you a pacemaker. I did not want that pacemaker. I was weeks away from doing my A-levels. I was a couple months away from going to university. I was absolutely devastated. And I made one massive statement, which was, I'm going to embrace it. I'm never going to hide it. I'm going to tell everybody about it, because this is now me. And this is what I've got to, experience and use it as a positive. I'd say it's one of the best things that ever happened, because it's made me who I am today. And I honestly believe that I went through all of that trauma to do much bigger things, which I'm still really excited about.